Okay, welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, elephants and zebras. I forget the opening to my videos now. I apologize for that. Hopefully, I'm in the shot there. I notice did a bunch of dishes. Actually, the ones over here are dirty. The ones over there are clean. So anyway, I was going to talk about the AA cult, and there's a particular reason I'm doing it. I do talk about it from time to time, but not all that often, although in the last month or two I've talked about it more than I have for quite a while. The reason I'm going to talk about it is because over on Facebook, on numerous occasions, including people I have been friends with for sometimes years, when I provide information that shows that AA doesn't work, and including showing AA's own figures, that show what, 3-5% success rate, that's coming from AA itself. What is it, their triennial survey or something? But then you go and you look at the other studies. I mean, actual studies out there that study different treatment programs and what works and what doesn't work, and AA doesn't work. It just doesn't. 3 to 5, maybe 8%, depending on who you want to believe. You want to believe AA? Believe AA. They say what, 3%, 5%, something like that? That's not a successful program. Not even close. What I'm going to talk about is how AAers, steppers, like to censor people. That is typical cultic behavior. I was a part of what some would call the Beachy Amish or New Order Amish. They behave in that way. In Keene, New Hampshire, which is just north of me, is a cult, a political and personality cult, and they behave that way. Um, uh, uh, the Seventh Day Adventists, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, socialist political cults, Jim Jones, another political cult. Yes, Jim Jones was a political cult, not a religious cult. He was a communist, and rather open about that. But Scientology, that's another excellent example. You criticize these people, and they will do anything and everything they can to attack you. Even if they do it behind your back, they will attack you. The political personality cult in Keene, for example, they do it behind my back. I find out about it because they post videos and comments and things like that, and I see them when I'm in town sometimes. Not often, because there are not that many of them. I saw one recently. He thought he was being a big shot or something. When he saw me, he pulled his gun so I could see his gun in his waistband. Like, you're a loser. That you would do something like that? You're really sick. There's something really sick about you. Anyway, when a group such as steppers, and I'm talking mainly about steppers right now, I was about to say tonight, but it's actually 6:03 a.m., so it's morning. When I have provided, and as I just provided, and even if all I do is say, I disagree with you, bam, my posts get marked as spam. If I provide from the National Institutes of Health, if I provide a link to the National Institutes of Health saying that there is no such thing as alcoholism, it's not a disease, it gets marked as spam. I'm trying to save lives here. Steppers are not trying to save lives, they're trying to save their cult. I'm trying to save people's lives. There's a big difference. And you know, when you practice these behaviors, it says a lot about you, but it doesn't say anything about you that's positive or good, or it's all negative. I've sat in the rooms. I've used the excuses. I've listened to the stories. It's a bunch of BS. It's BS. If it is a disease, then why do you treat it with prayer and going to meetings? That's not how you treat disease. My late wife, she had cancer. She didn't treat her cancer by doing that. She went to a doctor and got treatment. Sadly, they didn't find it until it was too late, but the doctor didn't tell her, go to 30 meetings in 30 days. He didn't say that. He said, you need to start getting medical treatment, medical care. And that's what we did. We did it together. It's not a disease. The National Institutes of Health say it's not a disease. There are psychiatrists and psychologists and doctors of all sorts that say it's not a disease. The AA cult is shrinking quite significantly. Oh, and this is just over the last few years. The numbers are plummeting. The only reason the numbers remain at the level they're at is because people are being forced into it by the courts, by jails and prisons and various public and private organizations. Otherwise, the numbers would be grotesquely low. I look at the way you behave. I look at the personalities, and you're a very, very sick group of people who lack morals. You think you have morals, you claim you have morals, but you don't have any morals. Again, been there, done that, seen that, heard that. It's bullshit. If your program really worked, you would not censor your critics. And that's what you do. You try and censor your critics, but thankfully enough of us speak out. You used to on YouTube videos, you guys, just like Scientologists, you would try and get our videos taken off, and in some cases you did, but eventually enough people got sufficiently upset and complained that YouTube decided, well, we're supposed to have freedom of speech, so we'll let people speak. Well, now as more people speak out and the truth gets out there, more people find out that AA is a cult. And you guys don't like that. I notice there's not as much that the steppers don't come out the way they used to. They're still out there, but on YouTube, especially when you criticize them, you don't get the backlash that you used to get, because a lot of them have left the cult. A lot of them have found that they cannot keep arguing and winning, because they can't win with their arguments, because their arguments are nonsense. Okay, it's illogical. I've already given you the example of cancer. Some people would say, well, I was on all sorts of psych meds and da-da-da-da-da, and then I went to AA, because I heard this. I heard this more than once. And then I went to AA, and I started, doing the program, which there really isn't a program. But, and then the person was like, oh, well, I was able to get off my psych meds. And, yeah, you stopped drinking. You could have done that on your own. Or you could have done it with the help of a doctor or a psychologist or even a social worker. And it would have been short term. That's why you're off your psych meds. Not because of AA, it's because you stopped drinking. You shouldn't have been drinking that much in the first place. And I used to use the BS excuses that are in the big book, to try and keep jobs if I wasn't going to work, or keep my housing if I wasn't paying my rent. And thankfully people weren't willing to put up with that BS. And I realized that, hey, I'm not going to be able to get away with this. And at first I basically moderated my drinking, and eventually I got to the point where I rarely drink. And there is a psychological issue when you drink heavily. There's a psychological issue involved. I happen to have neighbors who drink quite heavily every single day. I'm talking 30 packs, 30 cans of beer, the big cans. I don't know how many ounces there are. This one person will drink one of those 30 packs, and by noontime has already gone to the store to buy half of that. So they can be quite obnoxious and loud and rude, but they do it. They're not harming anybody. I don't particularly like being around it, but that's the way things are. But when you try and censor people who disagree with you, you're not winning anything. What you're doing is you're showing your true selves, and you're not very good people, and you lack a backbone, and you lack morality. AA is a bunch of pushy bullying. It's bullying. It puts down critical thinking and works on slogans, and it doesn't work. I mean, I say works on slogans. Slogans are used as a means to put forth whatever it is, but those slogans are nonsense. There's no deep sort of discussion involved. It's just, here's a slogan and there's a slogan. It works if you work it. Keep coming back. Those don't treat a disease. And like I said, it's not a disease anyway. And when you try to censor your opponents, you're showing your true colors, and you're showing that you're not good people, that your soul is very dark, if you have one. So, have a good day.